Good day, everyone. I welcome you to this all important lecture. My name is Sonia, now kindly Adjorlolo, and I will be having this presentation on global women in leadership. Thank you for the platform and for the opportunity to have this much needed conversation with you all. My name is Sonia now kindly Adjorlolo. I would like to, first of all, before I start, extend my profound gratitude and appreciation to the Global Freedom Board of African Voices International, the African Voices International Freedom in Africa, for this platform to share this much needed information with you all. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now, today marks International Women's Day. It's celebrated every 8th of March. And this year's theme is Inspire Inclusion. Now, the theme for International Women's Day 2024 focuses on investing in women to accelerate progress by targeting economic disempowerment. This is a very much needed conversation that we need to have, because even as much as there's been progress in accelerating and involving women, there is still that gap, and that gap needs to be bridged. And so if we are focusing on investing in women and in what they have and what they can bring to the table, and to accelerate the progress that we all need to have. And so before I start, I want to focus on three important points. And this boils down to every person, be it male or female, every gender. As humans, we are born to, first of all, create, we are born to connect, and we are born to contribute. So wherever you find yourself, be it a man or a woman, you have to be able to put ideas to life. You have to be able to bring things to existence. It could be a product, it could be a service, it could be how you go about things, it could be a plan, a strategy, whatever it is. You have the innate ability to create, and you also have the ability to connect, to create meaningful relations with others, and to be able to contribute your quota, your brilliance, what you bring to the table, to the world. So these are the foundations that we'll be laying to have this much needed conversation. We are meant to create, to connect, and to contribute wherever we find ourselves, even at our workplaces, in our homes, our offices, industries, business, wherever. These are the three things that we have to keep in mind. Now, for the theme is Inspire Inclusion, meaning inclusivity is very, very important. That is the pivotal change. That is what will create the much needed change that we need to see in our era. Now, inclusivity means is the practice or policy of providing equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized. In this case, we are focusing on the gap between the gender ratio. So it's important that for every decision-making process, everyone needs to be on board. Everyone needs to be on board, because that is the only way we can harness our resources. We can actually make effective decisions. So when we talk of inclusivity, it affects all or every facet of life, including work, including business, including home. Whatever decision that needs to be made, everyone needs to get on board. That is the power of inclusivity. Else, we won't be able to benefit from all the wide range or the myriad of ideas, of brilliance, of strategies on how things can work. So in every facet of life, inclusivity matters. Now, what are the statistics saying? I mean, we always have to go by the data and what the data is telling us, because that will help us make informed decisions about some of the policies, some of the plans, and some of the ideas that we have to implement. So what are the stats saying? Now, globally, in 2020, women held only 15% of the senior management positions globally. And as of 2019, only 5% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. I need you to let that sink in. Now, in the United States, only 40% of management positions are held by women in 2021. Women occupied only 25% of board seats at S&P's 500 companies in 2020. This is what's happening globally. You can see the gap. And when you look at Africa, when you narrow it down to Africa, the report estimates that only 21% of women hold leadership roles, highlighting the pressing need for increased representation. Yes, we are seeing the representation, but we're not seeing it in the numbers that can effectively drive the change that we want. So you find out that yes, there are women representing, but the number is low, staggering. Now let's narrow it down again. In Ghana, only 15% of women are in the national parliament and 27% in management positions in the private sector. The number is still low. Even though there have been progress, the number is still low. That is why we are all advocating for inclusivity. I hope that makes sense. Now, let's just look at the figures again. This is the survey done by the heads of government agencies in 2020. This is the report in the chart form. The female is just 15% as compared to the males, it's 85%. And for board chairpersons, you have the male with a whopping 92%, with females 8%. Very, very, very low. There's out of the 123 government institutions data reviewed, okay, and it's only 19 are headed by women. It's staggering. It's still low. And when you look at the head of private firms, so that's for the government. So let's look at the private firms. It's still low. So for every 24 male, you just find 2 female heads. Look at the ratio. Look at the gap. It's not to say that progress is not being done or progress has not been done, but it's still low. That is the argument. When you look at the graph again from 1988 to 2024, you find out that it peaks, there's a spike, and then there's a drop, and then it peaks again. I'm sure around this time, there were government policies that were driving the inclusivity. Let's get women and more women in parliament and decision-making progress in the DCs, MMCs, and all. So you found out there's a spike. So immediately there's a change in the policy making, you find out that there's that decline and there's that drop. So it hasn't been stable. And even with that, we're still circling around 28%, which is still low. Again, we take one out of every 5. You find one female leader. It's still low, 14%, 4 million out of a population of 30 million. It's still low. Now, here's the plot twist. Women are now veering into entrepreneurship and owning businesses because even in the corporate sector, what we've noticed is that there have been so many inequalities, even in the pay range, in the ratio or the opportunities that are given for women to even lead, to come on board and lead. You find out that it's still low. So if I am not given the chance to be able to air my views and speak and be part of the decision-making process, I might as well just do my own thing and make my own money. So you find out there's a majority of women who are venturing into entrepreneurship and owning their own business and going about their lives. And even as much as that is great, because it is empowering, if policies are not in place, it is still going to affect your work. If governments are not putting policies in place that will ensure that even your work thrives and you make a decent amount of money, you're still going to encounter that problem. So that is it. Now let's look at the key pointers. Personally, what can we do to ensure this inclusivity? Individually, I talk about be seen, be heard, be felt. Now, as women, we have to show up and let our ideas be made known. Represent wherever you find yourself, at your workplace, your school, wherever you find yourself. Show up and let your ideas be known. Don't hide. Don't hide. And also be heard. Speak your mind, articulate your thoughts, and be unapologetic about it. Don't think that your ideas are not big enough. Say it. be heard, talk your mind, speak your mind. That's the only way people will know that, okay, you have something to bring. And also be felt. Let your presence be felt. Take up spaces and shine with your wisdom and your brilliance, because you can. And I believe that when opportunities are given to women, and there's equality and there's equity, we will experience so many life-changing strategies and ideas that's going to drive the policies that we see. And these are the much needed changes. For the policy makers, policies for equal representation must be enforced wherever we find ourselves. For policy makers, we have to ensure. And that is to say that I am always an advocate that it is not enough to just say that bring women on board. You're bringing women on board because you know that they have something to offer, they have something to bring, they have something that they can give to drive the change that we need. So it is not enough to employ me to work. You employ me because you know that I can deliver palpable results. I can deliver. That is why you are bringing me on board. So in as much as we advocate for inclusivity and making sure that the women come on board, the underlining and the reason is because it's a level playing field and women can also deliver top notch. Okay. And with institutions, practicing equity to create the balance that we need. Creating the balance that we need is key. If a woman can actually play that role and play that role perfectly, that must be given. And before even this conversation, before you are even given a role to play, you have to be invited. You have to be part of it before you can contribute. So allow access for women to be part of the decision-making process so that they can channel their grievances, so that they can also make very thought-provoking, inspiring ideas that will actually drive the change. And of course, with the government, equal distribution of resources and funding, it must be equal. We shouldn't see disparities. We shouldn't. Everyone must be served equally so that we can all benefit from the national cake and do better. So these are the things that we can do personally, individually, and of course with the state institutions and the government and the policymakers. This is how we can include women in the decision-making process. And let me start by saying, let me say that before that, leadership cuts across every facet of our lives. Leadership cuts across. So a market woman who is selling her tomatoes or her onions can decide that today I am going to mobilize the rest of my co-sellers and decide that we are going to run a cleanup campaign and clean our environment before we start the day. And she is exhibiting leadership there, right there. So right from the lowest point to the highest point, leadership cuts across. So everyone has something to offer. All hands must be on deck for the change that we earnestly seek. It lies within ourselves. Once we all play our part well, we will see the kind of change that we want. So in your small way, in your small circle, how do you exhibit leadership? How do you create that change? How do you make sure that your thoughts and your ideas are ahead? And how do you do that unapologetically, knowing very well that you have something to contribute? All hands on deck. That is how we can see the change that we want. And on that note, I want to say a very big thank you again to the Free African Voices International for this amazing opportunity, and happy International Day, Women's Day to every woman out there. You are amazing. Keep doing it. Keep making us proud. Keep pushing the ladder. Keep pushing it. And keep making your voice heard, seen, and felt. My name is Sonia Adjorlolo. You can call me Sonia Inspires. I am a personal development coach, public speaker, a gender inclusivity advocate, and a multifaceted entrepreneur. Thank you, and do have an amazing day. I appreciate you all. God richly bless you. Thank you.